New York Giant fans, you don't have to. You don't have to. I'm not demanding it with the way this team's playing right now. I'm not going to demand you guys to stand up. They've been so bad. They have not given me much of a much of a drive to come on here and do daily videos. So I've kind of been waiting for a bunch of topics to kind of pile up and just do live streams with you guys once or twice throughout the week. I'll be live with Bad Dog later this week doing Talk of Giants, and of course we'll be doing the Giants game over here when the Giants take on the Raiders. But there's been a couple of things that have kind of popped up throughout the week that, kind of wanted to speak my opinion on. I got the quotes. I'll pull up the quotes, talk about some of the things that Joe Judge had to say, talk about some of the things that Kadarius Toney had to say regarding Henry Ruggs. We'll talk about the Raiders this week, of course, this week's opponent, and, we'll dive into the lack thereof in terms of the moves that the New York Giants decided to not make at the trade deadline. Of course, going in, a lot of us thought that it was at least possible based off the fact that the New York Giants were 2-6, that they would be sellers at the trade deadline. Now, of course, to be sellers, you have to have buyers. There were rumors that I think the Saints were interested in Darius Slayton, but nothing came to fruition. He was a guy that we thought maybe we could have traded along with Evan Ingram. Nothing happened there. So the New York Giants were silent on the trade front. They're going to push forward with the team they got for the rest of the way this year, and we'll see what changes are in the future for the New York Giants. I'm sure a lot of you guys have some questions based off the fact that the New York Giants now are 2-6. And, coming off a very, I guess, depressing loss, right? I think that's the best way to put it. I wouldn't say it was a disappointing loss because going in, I didn't think we were going to win. But in the moment, in the game, it was a game that the New York Giants certainly let get away from them. You could point to a number of things. We'll talk about Joe Judge's headset and the timeout usage. We'll talk about the stupid penalties and everything else. But it's just something else each and every week with this team. It's really the first week, actually, from a positive standpoint, that I thought Patrick Graham, well, no, he did really well the week before as well. But I really think Patrick Graham deserved a lot of credit. Unfortunately, we didn't win. But Patrick Graham did come up with a great game plan. I thought he outcoached Andy Reid with his bend but don't break approach, forcing 2 turnovers. I thought the defense really showed up. But unfortunately, in typical New York Giants fashion, both sides of the ball did not show up, and the New York Giants got a loss. But we'll talk about all of it in the stream today. Going to say hello to a bunch of people in the chat. Horny Tane in the chat. Raphael in the chat. Afghanistan in the chat. MYG Jeffy in the chat. No Mets, no Jets. Abe in the chat. Super Cool Ed in the chat. Jameson, thank you for being here, man. What's going on there? David AV, thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all the support, even when this team is absolutely horrendous. And I'm looking forward to the game this week, and hopefully the New York Giants find a way to get to 3-6 before we take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's up there, Pete, man? What's going on there, Mr. Christian? What's going on there, Dylan? What's going on there, Harper? What's going on, MY, man? If you haven't done so, hit that thumbs up. Thank you guys for being here. Matthew says, going to be my first NFL game on Sunday. Wish me strength to not go rush the field, then punch Jason. And punch Jason Garrett in the face. Jason Garrett is definitely public enemy number one with New York Giants fans. He has been for quite some time. And Garrett did not call the best of games. I'll be the first to say it this past week. The offensive line didn't help him, but did not call a very good game. I thought he actually called a really good game the prior week. Didn't call the best of games this past week, but there's a lot more blame to go around. We'll talk about it throughout the stream. You could point the finger at so many people, and he's certainly part of it. Hey, man, thank you very much. What's up, Dana? No excuse, but it turns out Judge was right about the headsets. It's been happening all over the league. Boomer confirms it. All right, here's what I'm going to say about that. And I'm going to pull up, you know what, before I get talk to the chat a little bit more, I'm going to pull up exactly what Joe Judge had to say, and then I'm going to give my opinion based off what he had to say off the headsets, because it's like a huge topic of conversation right now with New York Giants fans. Judge came out at the end of the game and was asked about his timeout usage. It's been very questionable all year, and he said that they've had problems with the headsets. But let's pull up exactly what Joe Judge had to say, and then I'll give my opinion on the full matter. But thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate you being such a great supporter of the channel. The headsets were going out. We were having headset issues. This has happened in every game so far, Judge said after the loss. We deal with the league, and they keep telling us there are different software updates or whatever it is, but we had to call 2 timeouts today because we were trying to send the deals in personnel-wise, and you got half of the headsets not getting reception. That is the issue right there. We are trying to make the right call. There were other times it was not the right look. I wanted to make sure we settled down. But the other one with the substitution right there, that is a breakdown. We have to make sure the hardware is working. So whatever the issue with that is, the people involved better get it fixed. Okay? Then I just want to pull up the second part of the quote right here. There was a couple of scenarios that just how things were playing out based on the situations, Judge said. There were 2 times today where the headsets were an issue. We will do hand signals or whatever we have to do. If we can't rely on the equipment, we will figure something else out. At one point, we tried to go back to the old equipment, and they told us we were not allowed to do it for whatever reason. We didn't have the issue with it last year for the most part. Hopefully, we will figure it out. Okay? And that was what Joe Judge had to say about the whole situation regarding the headsets after the game. And this is like a huge thing right now because it's kind of a poor excuse in my opinion. And I'm not calling Joe Judge a liar. As a matter of fact, Dave, you came out and said that he's right in what he said. And I'm sure he's right in what he said. I'm sure that there's been problems with the headsets. My issue with what Joe Judge had to say, this is my issue. And this is a guy that preaches being super prepared each and every game. Had he said that this was a one-time occurrence and this was the first time that it happened, I would have been like, okay, I understand it. You know, you want to be able to talk the play out, get it going, whatever it may be. You need to call your timeout. You want to make sure that your guys know the right play. Here's my issue. This is a guy that talks about being ultra prepared week in and week out. He said that this has happened every week with the headsets. It's happened at home. It's happened on the road. If it's happened every week and you're a guy that's forward thinking, you're a guy that's supposed to be ultra intelligent, you're a guy that's supposed to be prepared, wouldn't you have a contingency plan knowing that it's happened for 6, 7, 8 straight weeks? Listen, if I was dating a girl and every time I went to kiss her, she kicked me in the nuts, after about the 4th or 5th time, I'd wear a cup. Okay, that's my answer there. So, well, his excuse may be somewhat justified in terms of that the headsets were probably a problem. It's something that he has to come into prepared, being that he has said it's happened each and every week. So that's my issue right there with Joe Judge. That's my issue right there with Joe Judge. And, yeah, I mean, hopefully he fixes it going forward. But I don't view it as a legitimate excuse in terms of his timeout usage in that game. I just don't, because that's my take on it. I just don't view it as a legitimate excuse on Joe Judge's part regarding the headsets. I think he did a poor job there, and it's a poor excuse. If it was a one-time occurrence, I understand. The fact that it's happened each and every week this season, at least from what he said, no, I think you need a backup plan there. And he was one of the major reasons why we lost that football game with his timeout usage. So that's my take on it. Well, I feel bad for him, and I want to root for Joe Judge, and I like Joe Judge. You got to be better prepared than that. That cost your football games. What's going on there, Jared, man? What's going on there, Chill, man? What's going on there, Amazing Guy? What's going on there, Ryan D, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on there, Dominic? And Foxy in the chat, man. What's going on there, Sean Sullivan? Chris, there is something in your hoodie? I don't think so. Maybe it's a headset. Maybe my headset's in my hoodie. Yuri, man, thank you very much. Trevor Lawrence had an issue with a headset versus the Bengals, and he changed it when he called the timeout. Judge, take notes. Well, listen, man, that's my only issue with it. I'm sure that the headset problem is justified. I'm sure that it's a problem going around the league. Apparently, Boomer Esiason came out and talked about it, and I feel for Judge a little bit. But at the same time, if it's been happening every week, you got to have a backup plan. So I don't view that as a legitimate excuse on Judge's part. And I can only hope as a young coach he improves, it gets better. I'm not going to come out here and call for his job halfway through the season off to a 2-6 start. But he's got to get better, man. He can't continue to cost this team football games. And while he was not the sole reason why we lost that game, don't get me wrong, he was part of it. John, man, thank you very much. He says, sup, Chris, did you see Gio explode about us fans? No, I did not. Somebody pointed that to me on Twitter. No, not Gio, rather. No, I did not. I did not see that. No, somebody pointed to a video to me on Twitter. It was not Gio, though. I forgot who it was. I think it was Don LaGreca, but I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. So, no, I did not see what Gio had to say about the fans. Mike says he's fired in my book. That's a dumbass excuse, so I want him fired. I will wait till the end of the year. I will wait till the end of the year regarding, giving my opinion on whether or not Joe Judge should be fired. But I need to see improvements. That's what I'll say on that. We still got a half season to go. I'll wait till the end of the year before I give my definitive answer on that. But what I will say is it's trending down the right path, the wrong path right now for Joe Judge. That's what I'll say. And if we fire the GM, which it looks obvious, and we hire an outsider, Judge could be in trouble. I can't sugarcoat that. But I'm not going to come on here yet and say that he needs to be fired just 8 weeks into his second season. Alvaro says, do you miss OBJ? No, I do not. No, I do not. And I know that's a hot topic of conversation right now for Giants fans, and I'm never scared to share my opinion. I like everybody's opinion. I try to take everybody's opinion fairly. My opinion on the OBJ thing, I'm a little bit surprised, honestly. The Giants fans are calling to get this guy back on the football team, being that he's now forcing his way up a second team. No, I don't miss OBJ. I don't think it would be a wise decision for the New York Giants to bring OBJ back. That's my take on that. OBJ's a guy, and I know I'm going to get asked this throughout the stream, so I figured I'd just address it at the beginning. OBJ is a guy who is only going to be happy if he's in a situation where he's winning and he's getting force-fed the ball. Is OBJ going to win with the New York Giants? So why in the world would I bring him back here? Other than to appease the fans that love Odell Beckham Jr. He may say he's going to be happy when he comes back here. The second this team starts losing, the second Daniel Jones is not getting him the football, he's going to be pissed off. So I do not want Odell Beckham back. I don't think it would be a wise decision by the New York Giants at this point in time. That's my take on Odell Beckham. Now, if he goes and signs with the Green Bay Packers, that's a Super Bowl contender. He could go there and potentially win. The Tampa Bay Bucks, teams like that, it might make a lot more sense. With the Giants, don't see the fit. Jonathan, man, thank you very much, man. He says, man, I can even call better timeouts in Madden. Yeah, I think somebody who's never watched football before could call some better timeouts than Joe Judge this year. And John said it's a short 2-minute clip. Gio explodes on Giants fans. Regarding what, John? You don't need to donate again, but I'm just curious regarding what with the Giants fans, because there's times that I explode on Giants fans. So I'm curious to see what he's exploding about. So I'll definitely have to listen to the clip and hear what he has to say regarding the fan base. I don't know exactly what he was exploding about, so I don't know if I'd be in agreement with him or not regarding the football team. But I want to get into the Canaries Toney thing as well. I want to get into the Raiders. Obviously, I want to talk to you guys, get your thoughts on the team. But I wanted to start with the Joe Judge thing. Obviously, that's like a big topic of conversation. And to me, it's not a legitimate excuse in terms of the headsets not working. Like I said, one-time occurrence, even a two-time occurrence. But the fact you're telling me it happens every week, both at home and on the road, that's not a legitimate excuse for you to mismanage the timeouts in the way that you have this year, at least in my opinion. Let's see what we got here. I'm late tuning in. What's going on there, Wesley, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Ghost TV says, never liked Odell and never will. I don't hate Odell. I just don't think he makes sense for the Giants at this point in time. It just doesn't make sense. Wherever he goes, I wish him the best. I hope he does a great job. I hope he's widely successful. I just don't think it's a good fit. Alvaro, man, thank you very much. He says, okay, Giants, fire Judge, who you bring in? Well, we'll see at the end of the year what ultimately ends up happening. But if they fire Judge, I mean, we'll see. I have no idea. There's a number of names you could throw out there. Jim Harbaugh, Joe Brady. People bring up so many names. Bieniemy, right? Who knows? Who knows who's going to be on the short list for the New York Giants with the head coaching search if they elect to go that route? The only way I see it happening in terms of firing Judge, and obviously I think this is a very legitimate possibility, is if they bring in an outsider. If they hire a GM from within, I think Judge stays. In my heart, I really do think Mara wants to stick with Judge. I really believe that. I think he wants to stick with Judge. I don't think he wants to fire Judge and fire another coach after 2 years. When he brought in Judge, he made it sound like he wanted to be a long-term solution. So in my heart, I believe that that's what John Mara wants to do. And in my opinion, if they stick with Joe Judge, and I know fans may not want to hear this, the best option, if you are going to force Joe Judge on the next GM, if that is what Mara's going to do, I would rather him hire an in-house GM than hire an outsider. Because a good outside GM is not taking the job. He's going to laugh at him. He's going to say, you're telling me I got to keep Joe Judge? I can't pick my coach? Bye-bye. So if you're gonna force Joe Judge on the next head coach, if that's what Mara's plan is, and we don't know this is speculation, I would just hire a GM from within. I would not hire an outside GM because you're not going to get a good candidate. Yuri, man, thank you very much. And that's kind of the same mistake he made the first time around when he hired Gettleman, at least in my opinion. And I don't know if Mara would do that. Yuri says, what's the holdup with Isaiah Wilson? Can we at least see his progress? Solder is a mess. As far as Solder goes, Solder sucks. But as far as Isaiah Wilson goes, rather, I mean, when he came in, he was 50 pounds overweight. You're talking about a guy who's not been very successful in the NFL during his time here. So I don't know, man. I don't see Isaiah Wilson getting an opportunity to play with the Giants, at least for maybe at the end of the year he gets an opportunity. Maybe he gets called up to the 53-man squad. But the guy was 50 pounds overweight when we brought him in. The Giants probably viewed him as a flyer. I don't know much. I don't get to see the practices, but I would guess that Isaiah Wilson's trying to get in shape and hopefully get an opportunity at some point to play with the Giants. But even if he gets called up to the 53-man roster, I think it's as a depth lineman. I don't think he's going to actually start with the football team once Thomas comes back. Obviously, Thomas and Parrott more than likely will be your two starters, at least for the rest of the year, until we potentially replace Parrott in the draft next year if we elect to go that route. But Wilson, I like the pickup. It's high upside. There's really nothing to lose there. Former teammate of Andrew Thomas, but I don't really see him getting an opportunity to play unless there's injuries on the offensive line, which is possible. Go says Evan Ingram can coach all pro tight end. Evan Ingram, I know a lot of fans wanted to trade. Let's talk about Evan Ingram too, and then I'll get into Kadarius Toney, what he had to say. I know a lot of fans wanted to trade Evan Ingram, and as did I, because I don't see Evan Ingram being a part of the future with this football team. I just don't see it. We don't have a lot of money as is next year. I think we're like negative $12 million of cap. Yes, you'll save money by cutting Solder, and there's other things that you could do. But I don't think our best usage of the limited money that we're going to have next year is going to be utilized properly if we sign Evan Ingram to an extension. So I would have preferred to trade Evan Ingram. But we don't know the offers that were out there, right? So if the Giants were only getting like a 6th-round pick for Evan Ingram, you're probably better off holding him and just getting your comp pick in the following year. I think the way the comp picks are is if he's a top 5% in terms of free agent salaries, it's a 3rd-round comp. If he's top 15%, I think it is, it's a 4th round. Top 25%, he's a 5th round. More than likely, Evan Ingram would probably at least get you like a 5th-round comp pick. So if the Giants weren't getting at least a 4th or 5th-round offer, I understand the New York Giants not biting the bullet there with Evan Ingram. I know a lot of Giants fans want to get him out of here as soon as possible, but it may not have been in the best interest of the team if they weren't getting at least that kind of price tag. Whether or not they did, I don't know. I have no idea. But if the Giants got at least a 4th-round pick for Ingram, I think they should have probably went ahead and made the deal. But we don't know what offers they were getting for the players. And Ghost, man, thank you very much, man. I rewatched the Chiefs game. Solder got trucked. Yeah, Solder was horrible. Solder's been horrible all year. Well, he's had a couple of games here and there where he's been pretty good, but he's been horrible all year. And I think he was good against the Saints. Knox says, can't wait to beat you guys this Sunday. It's going to be a good game. I mean, I respect your football team. I know that I said last night, I've been picking against the Giants all year, so nobody could call me a homer. I just have a feeling that the Giants have a pretty good chance to win this game this week, but you guys are coming off the bye. You guys obviously have to a really good start. I think the Raiders are the biggest surprise team in the NFL this year. I did not have them anywhere near 5-2 after 7 games. So you guys have definitely shocked me, and I think shocked a lot of people this year. We'll see. You know, the Raiders, if you go back and look at them over the last 3 or 4 years, they typically start off really hot, and then they kind of cool up over the second half, and we'll see if they can maintain this throughout the rest of the year. But obviously, you guys are dealing with a lot of things as well. John Gruden, the whole situation there. Now the Henry Ruggs situation, which is horrible. So we'll see, we'll see how Derek Carr and the team responds this week going up against the Giants. But you guys got a good offense. I think you guys, last I checked, you're ranked top 10 in the league, and you have a middle of the road defense. You guys have had a really good year, the Raiders. I'll pull up the stats right here, actually. Yeah, I mean, the guy you worry about the most is Darren Waller. And obviously, as Giants fans, we don't typically guard the tight end well. We did a great job last week, though, against Travis Kelce. And what somebody else said in the chat earlier, I actually believe that, and we'll see. I do think this defense is starting to improve and turn the corner. I do believe that. I don't know about the rest of the team, but I do think the defense will have a good effort this week against the Raiders. I do expect that, and I do think it'll be a close game. I think we have a pretty good chance to win. I'm not sure who I'm going to pick yet, but I do think it's going to be closer than maybe a lot of other people may think. We'll see. Chris, I heard Saquon has COVID-19. Yeah. What's up, man? What's up there, Brandon? Yeah, so the story came out yesterday that Saquon Barkley and I think it was like 15 members of the Giants, whether it's coaching staff or players, maybe it was 13, have COVID, had COVID or tested positive for COVID. But the way the league works is if you are vaccinated, you can take a second test, I think, within 24 hours. And if it does not come back as a positive test, you could still play. So Saquon and everybody else took the test. The only guy who came back with a second false test was Brian Burns, the running back coach. So all the players are going to be able to play. Whoever tested positive for that are going to be able to play. The question with Saquon is he fully recovered? Is he fully healthy? And is he going to be able to play this week? But the COVID will not keep him out, which is good news. Ghost TV, man. Thank you very much, man. Miami season 6-1, soon to be 7. Oh, you're talking about the Miami Hurricanes? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, because you're certainly not talking about the Miami Dolphins. What are you talking about? A wild card? Come on, man. Who's talking about a wild card? Giants ain't getting a wild card. I mean, anything's possible, but Giants ain't getting a wild card. No, it's gonna be another long season where the New York Giants right now are 2-6. To get a wild card, they'd have to go 7-2 the rest of the way. Let's be real, as Giants fans, probably not going to happen. Devin, man, thank you very much. What do the headphones have to do with calling timeouts? Just watch the game and the clock. Well, Devin, the reason that it has something to do with it, and I'm not saying I said at the top of the stream, it's not an excuse for me. It's not a legitimate excuse for me. But the reason that he's using that as an excuse is he's trying to tell the plays to the offense and the defense, and they can't relay the message. So because of that, in a big spot, they felt like they needed to call a timeout so they could tell the defense what the play was going to be. That's his reasoning. I'm not saying it's a legitimate reason, but that's his reasoning. And obviously it didn't work. I think on the next play, they gave up like a 15-yard run anyway. So, but they've been having problems with that all year, whether it be defensive timeouts, calling timeouts at poor times in the game offensively. It's just been a bad year in terms of the timeout usage for Judge. And he kind of pointed to the headsets as being the main problem. Sean, man, thank you very much. We moved Skur to center and Bredesen to left guard. Still bad. It's dude, our offensive line sucks. Sean, you could do musical chairs all week and put them wherever you want to put them. Anybody, and I'm going to continue to hit the home at this point because it's how I feel. Anybody who watches this New York Giants football team over the last 4 or 5 years, if you don't think the offensive line is the primary problem, you're out of your mind. How could you watch that last drive this past week and be like, oh, yeah, we're good. Yeah, I think we could get value next year in the draft. I think we could wait till the 3rd or 4th round. We'll get a value guard. We'll get a value center. I'm sick of hearing that. I am sick of hearing that from people, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on YouTube. This offensive line has been so bad for 12 years. Yes, can you get value at the position? Sure. I don't care. I ain't taking the chance. I'm taking the best possible player I can on this offensive line, and I'm fixing it. I'm sick of it. If I'm the GM, the first 2 picks are offensive line. First 2 picks are offensive line. I am sick and tired of watching how bad this offensive line has been for the last 12 years. It's been a disgrace. It's been a joke. And that last game, the last drive, Daniel Jones couldn't drop back and finish his 3-step drop before he was getting hit. It was pathetic. The offensive line's a joke, man. Ghost TV, man. Thank you very much, man. Heat, I'm a Giants fan and a Miami Heat fan. That's right, Ghost TV, man. You guys are up to a really good start, man. And Brady, man, thank you very much. Judge, Daniel Jones, and Gettleman have to go, Chris. It's time. I mean, for sure, Gettleman's gone at the end of the year. The only question is going to be Judge, because I'm not saying you're wrong for that. If it was me, I probably at this point, and again, I don't want to say for sure, but at this point, I'm probably in agreement with you about Joe Judge and and switching head coaches. But I'm going to wait till the end of the year and see if this team can turn it around and start to play better. I think Mara is going to want to stick with Judge, though. That's my honest opinion right now. Maybe I'll be wrong, though. I'm wrong all the time. So maybe I'll be wrong. But I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling the way that you do. Judge looks overmatched as a head coach. He's an easy guy to root for. He seems like a smart guy, a guy that came in. We all thought he was prepared. I think he sold a lot of us on, the way he looked in his first year. But this year, he's looked over his head. He's looked overmatched. So I don't blame fans for feeling the way that they do. As far as Jones goes, yeah, I think Jones is in a really tough situation, man. I've said it countless times, time and time again. But fact of the matter is, you bring in a new GM, you bring in a new head coach, Jones probably not going to be back with this team. And if he is, it will not be as a long-term answer, more than likely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but more than likely, that will be the case. So it's everything that you just said is completely possible by year's end. And we'll get our answer by the end of the year in terms of what this team's plan is going to be going forward. Tyler, man, thank you very much, man. Imagine next year we had Evan Neal and Linderbaum. I mean, I'd be drooling. My draft reaction on draft night would go viral. I'd be going absolutely bananas if we drafted those two. Now, I'm not saying, like, if there's a great edge rusher, I'm not saying not to take them, right? But they have got to make sure that they make that a prime objective this offseason, the offensive line. And not just this offseason. They got to continue to do it until they fix it. It's been pathetic for the last 10 to 12 years. And this team's not going anywhere fast until they do it. I said in my last live stream, look at the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott goes down. Cooper Rush comes in. He looks like a freaking Pro Bowler. Cooper Rush threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns because they got an offensive line. We can't block. Let's see what we got here. Tainted in the house. What's going on there, Charles Barkley, man? Thanks for popping in. So I take it's safe to assume that you're only respond to questions that pay you, correct? No, not safe to assume at all, Rule. But when there's 500 people in here and you see a chat, if somebody's going to give me $2 and it lights up, I'm gonna click it. So I apologize, Raul. I apologize. See ya. What's up there, Tom Swain, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's going on there, Yuri, man? Defront says 80% chance that Gettleman retires and they elevate Kevin Abrams. Don't give DJ a 5th-year option and put everyone on the hot seat next year. I think that there's a good chance that Gettleman's going to retire at the end of the year. I think that's probably the way it's going to go. I don't think they'll fire him. I think he'll retire. I think he'll step down because of his age. As far as Abrams goes, yeah, they could go Abrams. They could go O'Brien. I think that's the route that they're going to go if they hire an in-house guy. I'm leaning that's probably where they're going to go right now. I don't think they're going to completely blow it up. But they definitely could. And ultimately, the final decision is going to come down to Mara. And I think the way this team plays over the last 9 games, I think 9 games are left, is going to determine where they go, man. Let's see what we got here. What's going on there, Simple Man? Frank Corona, man, what's going on? Chris, do you realistically think the Giants could pay Thomas and 2 more first-round picks on the O-line? I don't see how that will work. Well, the Dallas Cowboys did it. Dallas Cowboys drafted 3 first-round offensive linemen within 3 years of one another. They also drafted Lyle Collins, who they kept, who should have been a first-round pick, but he had off-field stuff. The New Orleans Saints drafted 3 first-round offensive linemen, I think, within a 5-year span. So, yeah, I think it could work. It all depends on how your team is built. And if you draft a new quarterback in 2 or 3 years, I definitely think it could work because you wouldn't have to pay your quarterback. But yes, and I think you got to get creative with the contracts to keep those guys in house. But other teams have done it before. Maybe, and I've said this in prior streams in the past, Frank. And it's if Andrew Thomas stayed completely healthy this year, I would have thought about extending him by year's end. He didn't. But you got to be forward thinking. You say to yourself, okay, my plan is I'm going to bring in 2 more first-round offensive linemen in the next year or 2. Let me give Andrew Thomas the extension now. That way, in 3 or 4 years, he's cheap for the market value, and it's going to give me the ability to keep all these offensive linemen on the football team long-term and build this offensive line properly. He got hurt, so that's probably not going to be an option at the end of the year, but I think you have to be forward-thinking and do things like that. The Philadelphia Eagles did it this year with their tackle. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The Dallas Cowboys did it 2 years in with their left tackle. So things like that, I think you can't wait until the end of their contracts because if you do it now, you're going to get a better deal long-term. So you have to do things like that to try to keep it intact. But do I think it can happen? Yes. I think there's ways that you could operate and try to maneuver the cap and be forward-thinking to try to keep these guys on the roster. Yeah, that's his name, Malida or whatever his name is. Roll says, anyway, my question is that what does it matter what moves we make with players when the actual issue is the coaching staff? I mean, I don't think it's just the coaching staff. I think it's the players. I think it's everything. I don't think it's just the coaching staff. I think it's obviously the roster that was built. Now, what I will say, and I said this in my previous live stream. I don't remember which live stream it was, but I think it was during the post game. I forgot what I was going to say now because I was thinking about the coaching staff. Damn, I was going to say something. About the coaches not getting the most out of the players. I can't remember what the top man. But I agree with you that the coaching staff definitely has not done a good job. But I can't remember what I was going to say. I had a good point, but I forgot. What's going on there, man? We need receivers. Is OBJ there? Yeah, I already talked about that. See, now I'm just picking up random comments. I already talked about that. I don't want OBJ here. It's just not a good fit for this team. Yeah, we definitely lack talent too, James. There's no doubt about it. And that falls on Gettleman. But I want to pull up some of the things also. I want to talk about this too. This has been a really hot topic on Twitter with Kadarius Toney and what he had to say regarding the Henry Ruggs situation. If you're living under a rock, Henry Ruggs, of course, had a DWI where he was driving, I think it was 156 miles an hour. Unfortunately, a woman passed away in the incident, and I think her dog passed away as well. Obviously, a horrible, horrible accident. 156 miles an hour, no excuses there. He was drinking while he was driving. So yeah, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to say my full opinion because I think the guy's an absolute jackass. And he's probably going to go to jail, based off of everything. And he's already been cut by the Raiders. For people that feel sympathetic, I understand, I suppose, due to the fact that the guy was making so much money, had a great career, and he blew it away, and he was 22 years old. But that doesn't excuse the fact with what he did. But as far as what Kadarius Toney had to say, I wanted to pull this up because everybody was talking about this on Twitter yesterday, and I kind of wanted to just read it and give my full opinion on everything that the guy had to say. This is what Kadarius Toney had to say regarding what's up there, amazing guy, man, regarding the whole Ruggs situation. We young. Everybody makes mistakes. Y'all looking at the situation like this or that because it ain't y'all. Having so much to say, he know he messed up. Don't brag him for it. That's goofy to me. Just pray for the families involved. Okay? And here's what I'm going to say about what Toney had to say. And let me also pull this up too, by the way. No, I didn't. I'll just say what Pat Leonard had to say. Pat Leonard came out and said that he thinks the New York Giants should give Kadarius Toney a punishment for saying that. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's over the top. But what I will say, and I said it on Twitter, I don't think it was a smart tweet. I think it was a dumb idea by Kadarius Toney to state it in the way that in which he did. I understand that it was coming from the right place in his heart. Talking about Henry Ruggs, I'm sure they're friends or whatever it may be, and he was trying to stick up for his friend, but it doesn't look good, especially when you use the age almost as an excuse. at least in my opinion. That's the way that I read it. And everybody's entitled to read it the way that they want. But to use his age as an excuse for him doing what he did in terms of making a dumb decision. So I don't think it was a good decision by Kadarius Toney to go on Twitter and say what he said. But by the same token, it doesn't change my opinion about him as a football player. I'll say that right now. But it was not a good decision by Kadarius Toney. And he looks like a fool, to be honest with you, when you read that statement. I don't think it was a good idea by him, at least in my opinion. But hopefully he learns and he doesn't do something like that again, man. I didn't like what he had to say, man. John, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, the entertainer. With all your offseason moves, had Giants fans really optimistic? Would you compare it to the Eagles super team from that's supposed to be good on paper? I know it's a little different. As far as the comparing it to the Eagles super team, I don't know, man. Like, I'd have to go back and look. I mean, you guys did spend a lot that year. You brought in the cornerback from the Raiders that year, Asamoah, I think it was. You also signed Vince Young. I can't remember. You guys signed a bunch of guys, and everybody thought you were going to have a great team. I don't know if I'd put it on par with that because I don't think the expectations going into the year for the Giants were nearly as high as that Eagles team. That Eagles team, most people thought was a true Super Bowl contender. I think most experts still didn't think the Giants were a playoff team, and if they were, a fringe playoff team. So I wouldn't put it on the same level, but obviously super disappointing in terms of the way that the team has played. Let's see what we got here. Steve Smith from the Giants went to the Eagles as well, man. But yeah, as far as that goes, I just think it's a dumb decision on his part. I'm not going to kill the kid for it. Hopefully he learns from it. He doesn't do something like that again, but it's just poor timing on his part. And I just didn't like the word usage. But in terms of like people that are saying that he needs to be punished and this and that, no, I think it came from a good place. I think he was, he said he cares about Ruggs. He cares about his well-being, kind of like how, Carr came out and said it, but Carr said it in a much different way. What's up there, Simple OG, man? Thanks for popping on the stream, man. Michael, man, what's going on, man? Nah, Toney was right. People love to bury people up mistakes. Can't go back. Hey, Michael, you're entitled to your opinion, and that's what Twitter's about. I don't think the way that he worded it was right. I'm not going to kill him for it. I don't think the way that he worded it was right. I don't. I definitely don't. Let's go. What's going on there, Simple OG, man? And it is free speech. I agree. He's entitled to say what he wants to say. And when you say something like that, people are entitled to clap back at you. Simple OG says, what's up, Chris? Our biggest problem is Dave Gettleman because he's tore apart the Carolina Panthers and they were a real good squad and we hired him. What a bad idea. We need to fight. Well, he's going to be gone at the end of the year, man. What's up there, Posh, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Spotlight Raiders. So what's up, man? It was a tough loss for us, but see you Sunday. Yeah, man. The whole Henry Ruggs thing, yeah, man, that's brutal for you guys. He's had a great year. I didn't realize he was having as good of a year as he's been having for you guys. When I looked at his stats, he's got almost 500 yards receiving. I think he was your leading receiver, right? Let me see. He's got 469 yards coming in. So he was actually having a great year for you guys in his second year. So obviously on the field, it's going to hurt you guys. And we'll, both in the locker room and on the field. So we'll see how you guys respond. And Jeff, man, thank you very much. Giants have the worst injury luck with wide receivers over the years. Smith, Manningham, Nix, Cruz, Beckham, Shepard, Slayton, Galladay, Toney, crazy. Not just wide receivers. I mean, the whole team's been hurt this year. But yeah, the Giants have had a ton of injury problems. And some people definitely point to the turf. Who knows, man? Y'all make a big deal about the headsets. Yeah, the headset. He young. I don't know what you mean by that. How you doing, Chris? Stand up. What's going on there? Danny Slimes, man. Thanks for popping in. What's going on there, Sports Critic? Hey, Tater, listen to you at work. Appreciate you for popping in, James Jones, man. He's awesome, man. Always see you on Twitter, man. Great supporter of the channel. What's up, Matthew Stein? Abe says, how come nobody talks about getting rid of the training staff? Seems we always have guys that are hurt. I think people do talk about that. But yeah, and I remember people used to say the same thing about the Knicks all the time because they would always have injuries. And yeah, it just seems like we always have injuries. I don't know if it's the training staff. I don't know if it's bad luck. I don't know if it's the turf on the field. But we have had a ton of injuries. Now, football, you're going to have injuries. And part of it, Abe, I really do believe this. I would really like to go and look at other teams around the league and see how many, on average, how many injuries other teams have around the league. Part of the reason why I think we have such bad luck with injuries, and I'm sure that we do have a lot of injuries, but part of it, I think, is because we don't have we don't have good depth. So when a guy goes down, the loss is so paramount. Where if you look like a team like the Ravens or the Browns, they have injuries, they're able to overcome them. The Giants can't. And I think it's because our team's just not very good. You know, a guy goes down, the next guy that steps in more often than not is a horrible player. You look at the offensive line this year, it's been a disgrace. So I do think all teams deal with injuries. Injuries are a part of the sport in football. It does seem like this year, though, the Giants have definitely been hit with the injury bug. I'll say that for sure, man. And Blake, of course, was a big loss, man. Let's see what we got here. We got, and Frank, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, do you think Louis Riddick gets a little too much hate for his Haskins and Landon Collins takes? A lot of people liked Haskins and Collins. Was viewed as a top safety at the time. Here's what I'll say, Frank. I do a little bit. Now, I am not a huge Louis Riddick fan, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to support the guy if the Giants hire him. If they feel he's the guy that is the proper guy to come in here and build this team properly, like I've said countless times, I gave Dave Gettleman a long leash. I'm going to give the next GM just as long of a leash. That's the way I think of it as a fan. This guy's inheriting a really bad situation that was left here by Gettleman. If and when Gettleman is fired, I am going to give him 3 years to try to build this team properly. Gettleman got 4. I looked at it like 3 years for the rebuild because they screwed up so bad in the first year. Whoever they bring in, I'm going to give 3 years to build this team the right way. So if they hire Louis Riddick, I'm going to go that route. In terms of, his takes, listen, when you're an analyst on ESPN, whatever it may be, and you're going to be super critical about the moves that the Giants have made, but then in the past you've come out and said things that you think that they should have done, and it would have worked out at least as bad, if not worse. Like if we signed Landon Collins, that would have been a disaster. Washington can't wait to get rid of the guy. I know he's playing pretty good this year, but it was clearly a well overpriced contract. He wanted to draft Saquon Barkley, so he doesn't have a leg up on Gettleman there. The Dwayne Haskins thing wouldn't have worked out. But the thing that really got me, and again, the thing that really got me was when he attacked the Giants' offensive line. Yet in 2020, he said, "Oh, the Giants have ignored the offensive line year in and year out." But in 2020, he came on ESPN and said that he'd fall out of his chair if the New York Giants did not take Isaiah Simmons, meaning he would have passed up on a tackle in 2020. After acknowledging how the New York Giants have done such a poor job in terms of building up the offensive line. So I don't know. I'll give him a fair chance if they decide to hire him. I hope he's the right hire. But I do understand some of the backlash that he gets from the fans because he's ultra critical of the New York Giants, rightfully so. The New York Giants are a bad team, but some of the things he said he would have done in the past wouldn't have worked out either. So I understand it. But I'll definitely give him a fair chance if he does get the job. And I know that there were rumors that Riddick was talking to Mara at the end of the game. So we'll see. BX, man, thank you very much. Sent you a direct message on Twitter, Chris, and let's talk about it. Okay. Let me take a quick look. BX. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me pull this up. I actually saw this, and thank you, BX, man. I really appreciate that, buddy. I actually saw this on I saw this on Twitter. Somebody sent this to me also. A lot of people were talking about this. Let me share the screen real quick. This is crazy. This is insane. I think I saw Bobby retweet this from Talk of Giants. But look at this. This was a tweet that was sent out by Seth Walder. For Giants fans, this is a pretty notable stretch of high-performing guards in pass blocking win rate. Now, pass blocking win rate may not necessarily be the best statistical evidence of how a guard plays, but when you look at this list, Justin Pugh is ranked 4th in the NFL for guards in terms of pass block win rate. Eric Flowers is ranked 5th, who, of course, was a tackle with the Giants. Kevin Zeitler is 7th, and Trey Smith, who a lot of Giants fans wanted the Giants to take later in the draft, is 6th. So all 4 guys were either former Giants or a guy that a lot of fans were calling for the New York Giants to draft late in the draft this year with Trey Smith. So it just goes to show you how poor of a job I guess Dave Gettleman has done in terms of evaluating the offensive line. Now, Flowers, if I'm being completely fair, I don't think it was going to work out here no matter what. He hated New York. He couldn't wait to get out here. I think he was a bit of a head case. Justin Pugh did have injury problems. I'll say that. Zeitler, I think we should have absolutely kept. And Trey Smith obviously looks like a bad job by the Giants passing up on him in the draft. But, yeah, I mean, clearly doesn't look good on the Giants when those guys go to other locations and they do a really good job. And you look how bad our offensive line is. So there's no defense there. No doubt about it. Like I said with Flowers, I always thought they should have moved Flowers to the guard long before it was on YouTube. A lot of people talked about that. The Giants never did it. He did hate playing here, though. I will say that. And it was because of the fan base. Justin Pugh had a ton of injuries here. So I couldn't get on the Giants for not extending Justin Pugh. I couldn't do that because he had a ton of injuries here with the Giants. But the other two, I would have kept Zeitler this year. I've said countless times I wouldn't have signed Logan Ryan. I would have kept Kevin Zeitler. And, yeah, clearly could have taken Smith. Alvaro, man, thank you very much. Chris, do you still have Josh Allen over DJ? Oh, yeah. Are you talking about the quarterback or the edge rusher? The quarterback, 100%. Josh Allen, the edge rusher, I don't get to watch on a daily basis, but obviously that was the guy I wanted in the draft who got drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's having a pretty good year. Last I checked, let me take a quick look. Oh, he has a high PFF grade. Josh Allen, the edge rusher on the Jaguars. Let me see. He got hurt last year. I think he had like 10 sacks in his rookie year. He got hurt last year. Yeah, he's having a good year. He's got 4.5 sacks this year. Jaguars stink. But, yeah, he's still a really good edge rusher. I mean, Alvaro, what I'll say at the end of the day, if Jones turns out to be a franchise quarterback, which maybe he will, maybe he won't, it was the right pick. If he doesn't, then Josh Allen was clearly the right pick. The biggest reason why I wanted Josh Allen, one, I was in love with Josh Allen in that draft. I was kind of new to YouTube at the time, but he was really the first prospect that I really looked at and really was in love with when I did research on him. And I didn't ever think he was going to fall to the Giants. And when he did, I was like foaming at the mouth. But the biggest reason why I wanted Josh Allen in that draft more so than Jones or Haskins, who I slightly preferred to Jones, but I still didn't want a quarterback, was because I didn't think we were equipped to support a quarterback, especially a quarterback in that draft when it wasn't a rich quarterback draft class. That's why I didn't think it was the best of decisions. John, man, thank you very much, man. Who stinks worse, Washington, Giants, and Eagles? I know I couldn't ask Judge because he either can't hear or needs to check the tape or the clapper. I mean, right now, it's either the Giants or the Eagles, right? I mean, the Giants or Washington, right? I mean, the Eagles, they have 3 wins. They just blew out the Lions. The Lions stink, but they still blew them out. So right now, you'd have to say that the Washington football team or the New York Giants are the worst team in the division right now. That may change over the course of the year, but right now, I think that's what I would tell you. Amen. Thank you very much. I agree, but people were jumping on Joe Judge for conditioning, but we've had injury bad luck long before Joe Judge. Look over. I bet we lead the league over the last decade. That's something I got to look at, Abe, because I'm actually interested in that. That's something I got to look at in terms of where do we rank in terms of other teams around the league with the most injuries, because I think that's something interesting to look at. And it may be a number of factors. It may be partially the medical staff. It may be the field, right, with the Turk. A lot of people point to that. So I don't know. That's a good. I think that's a really interesting topic, and that's probably something that I'll look into, man, because I'm curious myself how we rank. As far as other teams go in the league. So I don't have the answer for it. It could be somewhat bad luck. It could be somewhat Joe Judge's conditioning, at least in recent years. The turf, maybe we're prone to drafting injury-prone players. We also went out and signed injury-prone players this year. So it's probably a combination of several things. But hey, man, thank you very much, buddy. And Template, he says, I went to high school with Jordan Love. I'm super excited to see him start this week. Yeah, that's right. Aaron Rodgers is out due to COVID this week, which sucks. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, so sucks for the Packers. But I like Jordan Love. If you go back and watch, he was actually one of my favorite quarterbacks in that draft class a couple of years ago. I just didn't think it made sense for the Green Bay Packers to draft him, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, I still thought was really good. And I think what happened there was the Packers, thought Rodgers was declining when he clearly wasn't, and he came back second year in the scheme. I think they didn't take that into account either. It was his first year in the scheme there, and he was kind of still really good, but he wasn't Aaron Rodgers. And then his second year back with LaFleur, he looked a lot better, and he ended up having one of the greatest years ever for a quarterback. Had they known he was going to bounce back like that, they probably don't draft Jordan Love, and now they're kind of in a sticky situation. But I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love could be a really good quarterback, and especially being that he's learned under Aaron Rodgers, I think he could do a good job over there. Devin, thank you very much. I wish we kept Dalvin Tomlinson, I think you meant to say, instead of Leonard Williams. The defensive line is missing him badly. See, I'm going to disagree with that. And I know it's like a popular take by some Giants fans at this point to say that it was the better decision to keep Tomlinson as opposed to Leonard Williams. I'm going to disagree with that. I think Leonard Williams, and I've said this now for a few weeks now, I think Leonard Williams has been getting unnecessary hate by the fan base. Leonard Williams has actually been playing really well for the Giants for the last 4 weeks. And the first 2 or 3 weeks, he was getting doubled and triple teamed. I think Leonard Williams has actually been really good for the Giants. And I know he makes a lot of money, but I still think Leonard Williams was the better decision of the two. I think Dalvin Tomlinson is more replaceable than Leonard Williams, and they could only keep one. In an ideal world, I would have loved to keep both. Dalvin Tomlinson is really valuable for this football team, and because he's not here, I do think Leonard Williams has struggled more so, especially early in the season when he was getting a lot of double and triple teams. But if I could only pick one, I still think I would have went with Leonard Williams, and I still think the Giants made the right decision in that aspect. Now, of course, they pay Leonard Williams a lot of money, so I understand where fans are coming from with that. But it was a casualty they had to make. Like, I knew once the Giants signed Logan Ryan, there was no way Dalvin Tomlinson was coming back because I knew they were going to sign Leonard Williams, and there was no way they were going to be able to pay Dalvin Tomlinson after they paid Logan Ryan. So I just knew he wasn't coming back. It's unfortunate. I would have loved to have kept Dalvin Tomlinson, but I think they actually made the right decision in terms of which player to keep. You could definitely argue about the contract. And let's see what we got here. And Bryce, man, thank you so much, man, for the incredible support, man. I really appreciate it, man. He says, love you, bro. One of my favorite YouTubers. And I just want to give you, to give back to you for putting out all these videos and live streams that you do and the time it takes. I respect you so much, man. You didn't have to do that, man. I thank you, though, man. I really appreciate it. I've kind of been a little bit slower with the videos as of late because, you know, it's like, you know, sometimes I just need like a mental break, you know, because like the team just wears on you, man. The fan base wears on you, rightfully so. The fan base has every right in the world to be as down as they are. But it wears on you, man. I'm just like the type, I like to be, you know, I don't like to be in a toxic environment. And right now, the New York Giants fan base, a wide portion of it is a toxic environment. And I completely understand why they are. They have every right to be. But sometimes, you know, you need to take a little bit of a breather. But I love talking Giants. Going to continue to talk Giants for a long time on here. And I appreciate all the support from all you guys. And I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing what they do this offseason, what the plan is going to be going forward. And hopefully we finally get this team going on the right path, man. But Bryce, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, buddy. Let's see what we got, man. What's up, Chill Daddy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. DeGrom in the chat. He says, speaking of the O-line, Joe Douglas fleeced the Chiefs by giving a fourth-string tight end who gives no playing time for a starting depth guard in Duvernay. I didn't even see the trade. I didn't even see that trade, to be honest with you. Joe Douglas is hit or miss for me. He's definitely made so. I know Jets fans love Joe Douglas. I didn't understand the Flacco trade at all. I still think that trade looks ridiculously bad, but he's definitely made some good moves for you guys as well. But yeah, the Flacco trade makes no sense. And then you saw White come and play this week. He looked great for you guys. So that was a waste of a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick, whatever it's going to end up being. But overall, I think Douglas has done a pretty good job for you guys so far. Money, man. Thank you very much, man. I went to the Chiefs game, and to be honest, Giants fans were loud that game and were heard as was I. Do you think Jones is the guy so far? Let's go Giants. I mean, listen, man, it's impossible for me to say that Jones is the guy right now. I'm a fan. I'm rooting for Jones. I want Jones to be the guy badly. And the biggest reason, one, he's a great kid. He's a hard worker. And he's an easy kid to root for. But the biggest reason I'm pulling for Daniel Jones to at least warrant a fourth year this year is because I don't want the Giants to make the same mistake they made when they drafted Daniel Jones. That's the biggest reason. I think if you draft a quarterback, he's going to fail, especially in this year's draft class. I don't think there's an elite prospect in this year's draft class, and you're going to put him into the same situation you put Daniel Jones in. So that's the biggest reason why I'm pulling for Daniel Jones, and I'm hoping that he at least warrants a 4th, maybe a 5th year, whatever it may be. But right now, even though it's definitely not near all his fault, I think he's put in a really tough spot. At the end of the day, the results are the results. The team's 2-6. And you have to ask yourself as a general manager long-term, because that's the way you have to think, am I going to be willing to give this guy a second contract? And when you give a quarterback a second contract, you're seeing it right now with the Chiefs. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Pat Mahomes' money kicks in. How are they looking right now? So it's very hard to maintain a dominant roster once you pay your quarterback. And if you can't have a good roster when he's on the rookie salary, it's very hard to warrant paying him on that second contract. So right now, there's no way I could come on here and tell you that Daniel Jones is the guy. He's a guy that I do see potential in, and I hope he grows and becomes a better quarterback, and maybe one day he could be the guy. But right now, I can't. I'd be lying. I can't come on here and conclusively say Daniel Jones is the guy. I think Daniel Jones is in near as bad of a situation as a quarterback could be in, with all the injuries, the poor scheme, the offensive line is a joke, and he was set up for failure, and that's what the worst organizations do. But right now, I cannot come on here and say that he's the guy, man. I just can't. But I still am of the mindset that I do not want them to draft a quarterback next year. I would much prefer Daniel Jones to come back the 4th year and see what you got when you improve the surrounding roster than draft a quarterback. I do not want to put a quarterback in this situation again. John, man, thank you very much, man. Give me the blame percentage in terms of drafting the wrong players, coaches, not being able to develop players. I can't tell with some guys if they're just bad or if the coaches can never develop players no matter what the regime is. John, as crazy as it may sound, man, as crazy as it may sound, I actually think, and maybe some Giants fans don't want to hear this, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and this is not an excuse of Dave Gettleman, by the way. Dave Gettleman, it's been a failure. I think Judge is more at fault this year than Gettleman is. I think Judge has done a worse job this year than Gettleman has. Because I think, and again, there's been bad luck. There's been injuries, okay? I want to be as fair as I possibly could be. But I think Gettleman, at least this year, has given Judge enough talent on the roster to go out there and compete to make the playoffs. I think it's a good enough team to go out there and compete and make the playoffs, and we're not sniffing it. And again, some of it's due to injuries, but some of it is certainly due to poor coaching. Some of it is certainly due to poor in-game management with the timeouts, things of that nature. This year, I actually think Judge is more to blame than Gettleman with this year's roster. Obviously, Gettleman goes back 4 years, and it's been a complete disaster. But this year, I look at the roster Shermer had, and I look at the roster that Judge has. Shermer's roster doesn't sniff this roster in terms of talent. Doesn't sniff it. So some of it definitely has to fall on the head coach, man. And that's my take on it, man. In terms of the percentage, overall, Gettleman has to have a lot of the blame because Judge wasn't even here for the first 2 years of Gettleman being here. So Gettleman still, I think, overall deserves the majority of the blame. But for just this year, I'd probably say 65% coaching staff, man. Well, you also got to include the players. The players got to take responsibility. So I'd say 45% coaches, 25% Gettleman, and maybe 25% or so the player. 50, 25, 25. I'd say something like that. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, buddy. And let's see. And John Kim, what's going on, man? Everyone keeps saying Leo is playing well. He takes on the double teams, but he's getting Aaron Donald money, and Donald gets double, triple team, and he still makes a difference on the defense. Too many excuses for Leo. He needs to play better. John, here's what I'll say, man. And I haven't even looked at Aaron Donald's stats. I'm going to look at them now because I'm just curious how they stack up with one another. Aaron Donald this year has 5 sacks. Last year, he had 13.5. So he's got, and I'm not comparing Leonard Williams, but we're talking about production. When you're talking about production, you're talking about stats. Okay? Aaron Donald has 18.5 sacks over the last 2 years. Leonard Williams has, let's see. Leonard Williams has 5.5 sacks this year, so he has a half more sack than Aaron Donald. And he had 11.5 sacks last year. So he's got, 17 sacks over the last 2 years? What did I say that 18.5 to 17.5? I mean, it's pretty comparable. And I think Leo's been getting pretty good pressures on the quarterback. I think he's been playing better the last couple of weeks. It's very hard. We know when we sign him, it's going to be very hard to match that contract. But to say that Leonard Williams has not played well, I think is not being fair. I think he has played well. I think he's one of the few players on this team that has played well. I think the venom of the fan base should be going towards a lot more other players than him. Whether that be Bradbury, even though Bradbury started to play better the last 3 or 4 weeks, and other players on this football team. But I don't think Leonard Williams is the problem with this defense. The Rams win because of Donald, and the Giants don't win because of Williams. Well, the Rams win. Okay. Aaron Donald's terrific. One of the greatest defensive players of all time. The Rams win partially because of Donald. They also win because they have Sean McVay. Who are you taking, Sean McVay or Joe Judge? They also win because they have Matthew Stafford. They also win because they have great weapons. They also win because they have, a great overall defense. So, yes, he's definitely part of it. But the Rams team overall, if you put Leonard Williams on the Rams, they're still winning games. I guarantee you that. The Rams team is awesome. They have a very good team. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, the Rams team is way better, no doubt about it. What's up there, King Blue Man X Pop? And he says, I wonder if Judge has his own offensive coordinator. That's actually good. The offense might start being good if they're not injured. Maybe Judge is making excuses because he's pissed at Garrett. I don't want to point the blame at just Garrett, man. I know a lot of Giants fans like to do that. Garrett has nothing to do with the timeout usage. Garrett has nothing to do with that. And I definitely think Judge, for fans that complained last year about too conservative of an offensive approach, I laughed at that. I was like, yes, Garrett has something to do with it, but to think that Judge has no say in terms of the week-to-week game plan, he absolutely does. So I think Judge is just as much to blame in terms of the offensive philosophy with this football team as Jason Garrett is. Now, if you bring in an offensive coordinator, maybe that will help. But I'm not going to excuse Judge from responsibility. Let's see what we got. He's the head coach. And I saw Roldy pop in here. I wanted to say hello to him. See, Roldy hates Leonard Williams. He hated the contract, and I understand it. And I don't think it was a good contract. What do you want Leonard Williams to do? He's on pace to have more sacks than he had last year. We all agreed when they signed him that he had a great year last year. I feel like in order to impress people like Roldy, Leonard Williams has to cure cancer, he has to cure COVID, he has to cure AIDS, and he has to have 47 sacks in the same season. Like what? And I get that fans like to get on guys that get paid a lot of money and they think they made too much money because of their contract. What does Leonard Williams have to do? What does he have to do? He's on pace to have, 13 sacks? I don't know. And Malik, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says you can really do a better job than Dave Gettleman as a GM. Unfortunately, Malik, unfortunate, but it's a team game, COVID. It's a team game. You're going to get on Leonard Williams because the team is losing? Leonard Williams can't affect what the offense does. Leonard Williams can't affect what the corners do. Leonard Williams could do his job, and so far this year, he's done his job well. I'm not going to kill Leonard Williams. Malik says, you can really do a better job than Dave Gettleman. Unfortunately, and I'm not trying to brag at all, I think, how many people we got in the chat right now? We got 565 people in the chat. Unfortunately, with the state of the New York Giants right now, I feel at least 200 of them could be a better GM than Dave Gettleman. Unfortunately, Malik, with the way that, the way things have turned out with this team the last couple of years for sure. But the first thing I would do, man, is if I was GM, and I'll never be GM, but the first thing I would do is fix the freaking offensive line. I would do what Gettleman said he was going to do. I would go out there and I would draft offensive lineman after offensive lineman after offensive lineman. Yeah, and who was their coach? Who was their coach? You act like he's the people. When reporters got on Leonard Williams, there was a reporter that went after Leonard Williams after the game and said he brought up the team's record with Leonard Williams. I've never seen somebody point out the team's record with a defensive tackle. I don't know. It is what it is. Some fans are just not going to like the guy. What's going on there, NYG Jeffy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Who becomes OC if Judge stays and Garrett goes? I think it'll be somebody on the staff. As I've said several times, I think it'll be somebody on the staff. Who I don't know. Probably Kitchens. Kitchens would probably be the most logical guy. He's the guy that stepped in for Garrett when he had COVID last year for one game. So I would guess Freddie Kitchens. He's experienced. But it could be a number of guys from within the staff. But I think if they stick with Judge, that means they're more than likely sticking with Jones, and they probably want to bring in a coach that's familiar with Jones. So that would be my opinion. I think it would probably be somebody on the staff. The Imp Man, thank you very much, man. He says, hi, Chris. Roldy says, I'm tired of your excuses. What excuses? Roldy, you know what I'm tired of, Roldy? I'm tired of you coming on here and saying that I'm making excuses. Me saying that Leonard Williams is playing well is not the definition of an excuse, Roldy, and anybody in the chat watching. That is not the definition of an excuse. I can observe the New York Giants football team in a 53-man sport and say to myself, okay, that guy's playing well, but the team sucks. That is not an excuse, Roldy. That is not the definition of an excuse. That is me coming out and saying, yes, Leonard Williams has played well. And for people that saying he hasn't, they're wrong. Okay, the team sucks. They're not built properly. The offensive line, which is the most important unit on a football team, is one of the worst in the NFL. It's been one of the worst in the NFL for the last 10 to 12 years. And that's why that's a big reason why we're losing football games. And there's several other reasons. But me saying Leonard Williams is playing well is not an excuse. It's fact. The guy's 5.5 sacks. What the hell do you want out of the guy? Imp, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, hi, Chris. Here's some breaking news, bro. Mara just called me. I start Monday. Roldy will coach the D-line. Good luck, Imp, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's up there, Andres, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. The Giants are the best in the NFC East. Well, that's not true. The Giants are one of the worst in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys are the best in the NFC East. Fair to say Dave Gettleman has done a terrible job drafting. Our depth is terrible. Yes, I agree. Like, you could point to, like, individual instances where he had good picks, right? Tate Crowder, obviously a really good pick. Darius Slayton for the value was a good pick. This year, Toney looks like a good pick if he could stay on the field, especially because they traded back and got more value, but we'll see. It's only 1 year in. Azeez Ojulari looks like a good pick so far. But overall, yeah, I mean, he hasn't built the team the way that he said he was going to build it. So how could you say he did a good job with the draft? The offensive line is not any better than it was when he took the job. So, yeah. Let's see what we got here, man. Quincy Roche is playing very well. And he was a guy, Bobby, what's up there, Jamie, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Quincy Roche was a guy, and I even said it on Twitter. I could probably pull up the tweet, but I said it like 2 weeks before the draft started this year that I'd be happy if the Giants took him in the 3rd round. I like Quincy Roche a lot before the draft. And when the Steelers dropped him, I was shocked. I didn't even know. But when I found out the Giants picked him up, I was like, holy crap, the Steelers dropped him. I think the Steelers drafted him in the 6th round. Roche's played really well for the Giants. I don't know if he's going to be more than like a situational pass rusher or a depth player long term, but he was certainly a worthy pickup by the Giants, and that was a good move. Changing the defense from the way it was last year was a huge mistake. Yeah, I think that's fair to say, Sarcone. I think they're finally starting to get it together. The last couple of weeks, the defenses look much better, but I think at the beginning of the year, you saw Graham try to do what I thought they were going to try to do against the Denver Broncos, and it didn't work. And he never really went back to that. You know, they were super aggressive in that first game. They blitzed 50% of the time, which is ridiculous. Like, that's too much. And they were super aggressive, and Teddy Bridgewater tore them apart, and they never really went back to that. But I will say, I'm going to be fair, man. I think Patrick Graham has done a much better job. I was on Patrick Graham the first 4 weeks. I thought he was doing horrible. I think he's done a much better job these last 3-4 weeks. I think he's done a better job in terms of the defensive coordinator. But I agree. I think whatever they were trying to do at the beginning of the year was not working. And they've gotten back to, doing what they do best. The game plan this past week by the Giants defense was great. And it's really the only way you could defend the Kansas City Chiefs. It's really the only way you could defend the Kansas City Chiefs. But basically what their game plan was, we're going to bend, we're not going to break, and we're going to try to force turnovers. What's our best chance to force turnovers? The best chance to force turnovers is when the field is condensed in the red zone inside the 10-yard line, and that's what they did. So I thought they did a really good job. Of course, they gave up, chunk plays in the ground game, but they were making sure guys like Tyreek Hill didn't beat him over the top. They took Travis Kelce out of the game. So I thought his game plan this past week was fantastic. He actually outcoached Andy Reid, who I have a ton of respect for. But at the beginning of the year, I'm agreeing with you. It was not working. And Logix, man, thank you for being a member for 18 months. I appreciate it. Year and a half. Let's go. Yeah, 18 months, man. I appreciate it, man. You're the man, dude. I was shocked that, they did a great job in terms of shutting down Kelce, man. Chris, great stuff as usual, bro. Salute. What's going on, Eli? Right? I got to have you on the channel soon, man. I actually watched. I meant to respond to your message. I saw your Twitter message. I watched your interview. It was friggin' awesome. On your channel. It was great. I watched the whole thing. So keep doing what you guys are doing over there. And I'll definitely get you guys on the channel soon, man. I'm looking forward to it. But I appreciate it, man. Always a great guy. You seem like a nice guy, man. I'd love to have you on the channel soon, man. But thanks for popping in, man. What's up there, Chino, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Kansas says we are number 1 in terms of injuries with 17. Next will be 16 Panthers and Ravens and Cowboys at 15. I'm not surprised by that stat. I'm curious, Kansan, not just for this year, what it is like over a 10-year period, but I'm not surprised by that. I mean, you look at our team right now, the entire team is hurt, specifically on the offense. I mean, 3 of our starting offensive linemen are out at the beginning of the year. All of our wide receivers have missed time at some point. Daniel Jones missed a little bit of time. Saquon Barkley out. I mean, my God. So I'm not surprised by that stat. I can't tell if I'm in Chris's streams or Trump versus the rest of the world stream, the way people are going after Roldy. Yeah, no. Don't kill Roldy. But I am going to come at him when I feel like I got it, man. I'm going to get passionate. But no, man, like you said, man, you got to respect everybody's opinions. Sean, man, thank you very much. He says, we Giants fans are just beyond frustrated. We are now through our second rebuild, our second GM and third coach, and the same problems exist. Listen, man, and what's up there, Quaylogic, man? Thanks for popping in. Listen, man, I'm just as frustrated as you guys, man. You think I want to come on here every freaking week and talk about how bad this football team is and how I don't see much hope right now for the rest of the year going forward? I hate it. I'm just as frustrated as you guys are, man. I even said the stat a couple of streams ago. When I looked into the Pittsburgh Steelers, I couldn't believe it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are consistently a team that I say build the team properly. They've had 3 head coaches since 1969. 3 head coaches since 1969. I was negative 16 years old. They've had 7 losing seasons since the Super Bowl era. We've had 7 losing seasons in the last 8 years. The way this team has built their team, and like you said, going through GMs, going through head coaches, it's what the worst organizations do, man. We're completely dysfunctional. Bryce, man, thank you very much, man. Your opinion, best team in the NBA right now. I mean, right now, you'd probably have to say the Miami Heat, right? I mean, just based off the way they're playing, I would still put the Bucks above them in terms of, like, I think it's all subjective, right? Like, I was actually having this conversation with somebody the other day in terms of how I rank the football teams. I think it's all subjective. Like, if you're looking at how a team is playing right now, you probably say the Heat. But the way, like when I do power rankings for football, I don't do it based off how the team is playing in the moment. I do it based off how good I think the team is and how likely it is that they're going to win a championship. So, like, if I was doing power rankings right now in the NFL, I would not have the Dallas Cowboys 1 because I don't think they're the most likely team to win a championship, even though I've seen a lot of people rank them number 1. So I think it's all subjective in how you would go about ranking teams. What's up there, Sean, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Frank, man, thank you very much, man. Leo has a top 10 PFF ranking this year amongst all D linemen and top 8 against the run. Stop the hate. Leo is not the problem. Leo is not the problem. And I get it, Frank. I get, like, why fans are upset and they're just looking for things to be upset about and looking for things to blame. He's not the problem. Put your venom towards you could put your blame towards about 40 other things before Leonard Williams. Dave Gettleman, Joe Judge, Daniel Jones before him. Every member of the offensive line. I mean, basically every player on the team. So yeah, he's one of the last guys that I'd be attacking right now. Me personally. We need better O-line. That's why coaching can be better. For sure, man. Oh my God, dude. Riley Dixon is pathetic. My God, man. Riley Dixon is pathetic. They got to cut his ass at the end of the year. He's horrible. He was bad last year, too. Was it an embarrassing loss for the Giants or an embarrassing win for the Chiefs? A win's a win. So, no, I don't know. I don't think it's an embarrassing win for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have not been good this year. The Chiefs should have lost that game. It was a lucky win. You could say that for the Chiefs because the Giants cost themselves the game. But no, I don't think it was an embarrassing win for the Chiefs. And again, in terms of like the loss, I wouldn't say it was embarrassing for the Giants because I didn't think they were going to win. But it was a lost opportunity. It was a game we should have won. But if I had to pick one, I'd say more the Giants than the Chiefs. Bryce, man, thank you very much. I might be smoking maybe, but I think John Mara is the problem and he needs to sell the team. What are you smoking? Smoking? That is the smartest thing you've ever said. Smoking? You're smoking nothing, man. You are clear-headed. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So as fans, we gotta hold strong and hold together and hope that John Mara changes his ways and this team gets going in the right direction. But John Mara is a major reason why the Giants are where they are right now. The biggest reason, at least in my opinion. So no, you're not smoking anything, man. Look at all the Chiefs wins: Giants, Washington, Eagles, and yeah, the Chiefs are not nearly as good as they were last year. And James says Mara doesn't need to sell. Tish needs to flex his muscles. Either that, James, he's not going to sell. But either that, James, or he needs to just learn from his mistakes. He needs to learn from his mistakes and realize, okay, I got to be less hands-on. I got to let these guys do what I pay them to do. I can't, that's my take on that, man. I thought he was too hands-on with the hiring of Gettleman. And just his approach throughout his entire, ownership has always been to play it safe, bring in guys that he's familiar with. Obviously, going half and half. He never really commits to a full plan. Hopefully he learns from his mistakes, man. What does Steve Tisch even do for the team? Steve Tisch is an investor, man. That's all he is, man. You guys don't want Leonard Williams? I'm sure a lot of teams would take Leonard Williams. Looking back at the Odell trade now, who do you think won and lost? I don't think anybody won. I don't think anybody lost. I think it's one of the rare trades where, like, okay, there's ways you could look at the trade and argue that the Giants won because you base it based off the value they got before they drafted the players. Like the value, the draft picks, you could argue the Giants won the trade. But what they did with those draft picks did not work out. Obviously, Odell's not working out with Cleveland. He's forcing himself off the team. So I think it's one of those trades where it didn't work out for either team because Peppers was okay for the Giants, hasn't done a whole lot. O'Shane Ximines has been nothing. Dexter Lawrence has been okay. So I think it's one of those trades where both teams lost. It didn't really work out for either team. I don't know, in terms of the draft capital, I don't know if we could have gotten a better deal. If you look at the wide receivers that were traded in the past, you didn't get much more than what the Giants got. The Giants just didn't hit on their draft picks. Let's see what we got here, man. Golladay and Toney were limited today. Yeah, Barkley's out as well. How do you feel about Saquon and Kenny Golladay this year? I mean, they're hurt, man. There's not much else to say. It's been disappointing. And Alphabet Man, what's going on? He says the Giants' real problem is the ownership. Since Wellington and his nephew Tim started fighting over the team back in the 70s, a unified owner needs to buy out both Mara and Tish. I mean, I would love it, man. I would love it if it happened. I just don't see it happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a Mets fan, I was thrilled when the Wilpons sold the team. They were horrible. Mara could be a good owner. He's got to learn, though. You know, an owner in the NFL, in my opinion, shouldn't do anything. Just sign checks. That's it. You should have, and of course, you're going to be part of the appointing of the coach, I guess, and the GM. But whoever you bring in, the coach, the GM, they have full say. You let them do what they want to do. And I have not gotten the impression that Mara's done that throughout his entire tenure with the New York Giants, specifically when they had to shift from Reese to Gettleman. So yeah. Let's see. Do you think we will trade Saquon? No, because there's not. What are you going to get for him? What are you going to get for Saquon Barkley right now? What's up there? What you say, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. I think the best course of action right now in terms of Saquon Barkley, you're not extending him. He's not going to get a second contract with the Giants. You let him play out next year on the $7 million contract if he could, get back healthy, and you hope he plays well. And if he plays well, maybe you trade him. But right now, you're not getting anything for him. So I don't see it, man. It's like I don't know how many of you guys are in the stock market. It would be like buying a stock at $30 a share and trying to sell it at $3 a share. It doesn't make much sense. You hope the stock comes back up to 25 and maybe you could sell it there, or 20. So that's my take on Saquon Barkley. It's not the right time to trade him. You're not going to get much for him. So you bring him back next year on the $7 million deal. You hope he plays well. Maybe you could trade him from within season. Maybe you give him a franchise tag for a 1-year commitment if you don't like the trade offers that are out there. But you cannot commit a second long-term salary to Saquon Barkley right now with all the injuries that he's had. You can't do it. Let's see. But Francesco, man, thanks for popping in, buddy. And Bryce, man, thank you so much, man. Says, did you hear the Saints are trying to trade for Slayton? And yes, I actually mentioned that at the top of the stream. You probably weren't here, Bryce. I did hear about it. I didn't hear about what the specifics were. But yes, I did hear about it. And I'm not surprised. Slayton's a very cost-effective wide receiver. He's a 5th-round pick. He makes nothing. And obviously the Giants didn't like the offer that they got. But I don't blame. I mean, again, if it has to be at least probably a 4th-round pick for me to trade Slayton. If they're only getting like a 5th or a 6th, I'd keep Slayton. He costs nothing. You bring him back next year as at least a 3rd or a 4th wide receiver. I don't see the harm in that. If they got a fair offer, though, I think they should have traded him. And Alphabet Man, thank you, says, we need to hire Faruqi and Faruqi to sue the Giants for all the emotional injury they have caused us. Tell me about it, man. I think everybody in this chat right now is emotionally damaged. Is emotionally damaged from some of the things that have transpired with the Giants since I've been on YouTube, man. Why didn't we trade Slayton? Guy's a bum. Like I said, man, they probably didn't get much. Like, Here's what I'll say, man, and I agree that he's not good. I'm not a fan of Slayton. But if you're only getting like a 6th-round pick for the guy makes nothing. The guy makes like what, like $1 million, $800,000, basically a league minimum contract. And you still have under a very cost-effective deal next year. If you're not getting at least a 4th-round pick for the guy, I don't blame the Giants for not trading him. If it was maybe a 5th, but I'm not going to just trade him for nothing. You could get nothing for him next year. If you want to wait a year, you get a 6th-round pick for him next year. That's the way I would look at it. So, Chris, what needs to be done to turn this around so the Giants are good again? Offensive line, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. You start there. And obviously there may be a changing of the guard at the GM and the head coach, but yeah, this team ain't going to be good until they fix the line. Period. You may have a fluke year here and there, but you're not going to have consistent success until they fix the O-line. So my priority number, if I was the GM, my priority number 1, 2, 3, line. Number 4, edge rusher. And a coverage linebacker. But line. Because I want to set not just Jones up, but if Jones is not the guy long-term, I want to set the next quarterback up for success when I draft him. So I have to get that situated. That has to be the first thing that I get fixed, or at least start to get fixed. And the Ant-Man, thank you very much. There was the similar problem, which was settled. The NFL president, Rozelle, who personally took control, made Tim Maris sell out and bring in George Young without... Yes, yep. That is true. And that is what made the Giants start to turn the corner. They were just as bad back then as they are now. And the Mets actually did that too. Ironically enough, with Major League Baseball forced, I think it was Sandy Alderson on the Mets when they were going through the issues that they were going through. So, yes, that has happened before. But, hey, man, thank you so much, man, for all the support, buddy. But, yeah, he definitely bailed the Giants out of tough times back then. If Mara gave you ownership of the Giants, what would you do? If Mara gave me ownership, the first thing I would do, I would make sure I didn't have a Twitter account. I would make sure that I didn't ever go on any social media, because anything I did, the fan base would kill me. So that's the first thing I would do. But no, in terms of an owner of the football team, I'd wait till the end of the year. I'd evaluate the situation, but more than likely, I'd bring in a new coach and a new GM. I would have a fresh start. I'd have a fresh start. And yeah, only 215. Spike the like, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here. If you haven't done so, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell. Hey, Chris, why was John Mara talking to Louis Riddick? I mean, it's just a rumor. I mean, who knows? You could read it. You could read into it the way that you want, right? Like, it may just be that they're friendly, right? I mean, there's a history there. Louis Riddick came in for an interview. Who knows? Maybe he's talking about him for a potential job. It could just be whatever, to try to draw up headlines and get people excited when there's not a whole lot to talk about. But who knows? Who knows? But if I had to guess, if the Giants are going to bring in an outsider, Louis Riddick will be part of the interview process. He was part of the interview process last time. So I think he'll probably at least get an interview. Bryce, thank you very much. Can we talk about how bad Washington's defense is? I mean, Washington's defense is probably more disappointing than any part of our team. And that's hard to do. What do they rank? I mean, my God, like going into the year, everybody had Washington's defense as like the second best defense in football. So that's probably been the most underwhelming unit in all of football this year. Their defense this year ranks 27th in terms of points for and yards against. That is horrible. Last year they were second. And everybody was obviously super excited about the pass rush and everything else. Let me ask people in the chat right now. And right now he's hurt. But if Andrew Thomas was healthy, and hopefully he gets back healthy sooner than later, who would you rather have? Andrew Thomas or Chase Young? Chase Young's got 1.5 sacks right now. I know everybody was flipping out when we didn't get the guy, but he's clearly not making an impact on that Washington defense. And you imagine what the Giants' offensive line would be without Andrew Thomas, it would be even less hopeful. I think I might go with Andrew Thomas, even with Andrew Thomas being banged up. And Anthony, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And he says, won't be surprised if the Giants bring in the Texans GM after Gettleman gets fired. He just got the job, though, man. He just got the job with Houston. I'd rather he just got the job with Houston. So I don't see that happening. It's his first year there. I know he's got ties to Judge, but I don't see that happening, man. And amen, thank you very much, man. He says, fourth most injuries in the past 5 years. Not sure about the last 10 years. So there you go. I'm gonna have to do more research in that and look at that. But we've obviously had some bad luck, and I don't think it's just bad luck. I do think there's factors to that. Whether it be, bringing in injury prone players like we kind of did this year, whether it be the turf, whether it be, some bad luck. Like you said, the medical staff, whatever it may be. But I think there's more than just one factor. But it's interesting to look into. The Giants definitely have had a ton of injuries. And the most ironic thing about that, Abe, is Eli never got hurt, but everybody around him did. Let's see. Golladay was upgraded to limited, so that's positive. John Ross was added to the injury list with God almighty. John Ross, and I like John Ross. He's actually done a pretty good job for the Giants when he's got an opportunity. He was another guy when you knew when the Giants signed him, he's going to miss time. That guy gets hurt every year. So I think that is part of it. Like they brought in Golladay, he's had an injury history. Ross has had an injury history. They signed Rudolph after knowing that he had the foot injury, even though he hasn't really missed time. He missed, preseason, though. I think we trade what we can for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, this is I know this is going to be like a hot topic of conversation in the offseason. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, whoever else. Aaron Rodgers has a clause in his contract that he could pick the team that he gets traded to. Ask yourself, if you were Aaron Rodgers, would you want to go to the New York Giants? I know I wouldn't. If you were a 36-year-old quarterback or however old he is, would you be like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I want to play behind that offensive line. Yeah, that'll work. No. If you ask me right now, where Aaron Rodgers is going to end up, if he leaves the Packers, which I'm not completely sure and sold on that he's going to leave the Packers, but if he does, in fact, leave the Packers, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Cleveland Brown. Cleveland Browns have a team that is set up to win right now. Baker Mayfield sucks. They're an aggressive team in terms of trying to bring guys in. I think that team makes the most sense. If a team is going to go out and trade for Aaron Rodgers, that is my prediction right now. It'll be the Cleveland Browns. Denver's a good spot too, but I think Cleveland's a better spot. Jordan, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, get rid of Gettleman and Judge, keep Jones and start over. Jones really stepping it up this year. He's my quarterback. I love his playing style. Hey, man. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the year. And the Saints are a good fit as well, James. We'll see at the end of the year what they decide to do. But what I will say, Jordan, is as fans, if we do that, what you want to do, and by all means, I understand why you feel the way that you do. If we do that, you don't know what that next guy is going to come in and do. Even though you may feel Jones is the guy and you want to push forward with Jones, the GM that comes in, the head coach that comes in, may not feel the same way. So we'll see. So I don't know. I don't know if they push forward with Jones if you had a complete regime change in terms of a GM and a head coach. So if you do that, obviously Daniel Jones's future is not as stable as it was if you kept the general manager who drafted him and the head coach who took the job knowing that Daniel Jones was going to be his quarterback. Booze, man, thank you very much, man. I can't wait for next season. Please draft 2 Hogs. Please draft 2 Hogs. I can't wait for the offseason. I can't wait for this week. I still love watching the Giants, but I just hope they get this team going down the right direction soon, man. And Booze, thanks for popping in. Bryce says, every Eagles fan is sitting there in their basement saying to themselves that they're going to get Russell Wilson and they're already fantasizing. I mean, they could. I don't know. If a quarterback is going to be traded, the Eagles make sense because they have 3 first-round picks. Do I think that's the right idea for the Eagles? Probably not. I think the Eagles should probably draft a quarterback in this year's draft, but it's possible. I mean, with all that draft capital. I was looking at the draft order. I mentioned this on Twitter the other day. I was looking at the draft order for this upcoming year. As of now, 7 out of the top 11 picks are the Jets, Giants, and Eagles. 7. 7. There's only 4 teams not named the Jets, Giants, or Eagles that are picking in the top 11. The Eagles have 3, the Jets have 2, the Giants have 2. Austin Johnson's been good, man. He's been actually pretty good for the Giants so far this year. And dependable line, man. Thank you very much, man. If you compare Baker's career start to Drew Brees' career start in San Diego, it's eerily similar. Not saying he'll ever be as good, but still. Yeah, he's not. I don't think he'll ever be as good. I just don't. And here's what I'll say, dependable line. If you, and it's why I always say you have to factor in the situation that these guys are in. And he will never be Drew Brees. But if you put him on the Saints, could Baker Mayfield be a good quarterback? You're damn right he can. Look at the freaking play caller. You get to play in a dome. The Saints have maybe the best offensive line in the NFL. So could Mayfield be good on the Saints? Yeah. But if you're a capable quarterback, you should be good on the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0 on the Saints. Taysom Hill, I think, went like 3-1 on the Saints. So if he was put on the Saints, could he be a successful quarterback? Sure. But the fact that he's on the Browns, like, the Browns have almost as good of a situation as you could ask for. Their running backs average like 6 yards a carry. They had a guy from the AAF or whatever the league was called. He ran for like 150 yards behind the offensive line. They got weapons, and he's still not impressive to me. I just don't think Mayfield's good. Let's see what we got. Michael, man, thank you very much. He says, as a Saints fan, keep the hum slate. No thanks. You guys do need wide receiver help, though, Mike. And I don't think Slayton would have helped you dramatically, but you guys definitely need wide receiver help. You and the Packers. I'm surprised you guys didn't make a move in terms of trying to get your quarterback some weapons. Yeah, Dearness Johnson, or however it's pronounced. Can we clone Lawrence Taylor? I'll have to call the New York Giants science department. Maybe some of the computer folks. Maybe they could do that. It's easier to get better. It's to go 4-13, not 7-10. Let's lose our way to a Super Bowl. Yeah, that I mean, as a fan, obviously you could root for that, and I understand where you're coming from, but the Giants are never going to intentionally lose. There's still jobs on the line, right? Joe Judge is coaching for his job, even though we may feel he may not be back. Players are still playing for their jobs in the future, so maybe they will lose, but there's no way they're going to intentionally go out and lose. And Roldy, man, thank you. He says, someone asked, how do we turn it around? We need to get away from the old school Giant philosophy before we do anything. If we don't, we'll be right back in the same situation. That's first order of business. I think that's fair. My only the only thing I'm scared of, Roldy, but I agree with what you're saying. My only worry is if Mara is not willing to let go of Judge. I don't want him to bring in an outside GM because then you're going to get a bad GM. And you're going to get a guy that doesn't want to take this job, and you're going to set that GM for failure like you did get him in his first year with the Giants, and it's going to be a mess. So if he is attached to Judge, and I'm not saying he should be, but if he is, I just want them to bring in an in-house guy for 1 year. And then if Judge fails, then you bring in the outside guy, and you let him do what he's got to do. But if it was up to me, I agree with you. Dependable line, man. Thank you very much. I'm going to study genetics on how to clone LT and Brady for our team. I'll throw in Joe Thomas and Andrew Whitworth. That should certainly help dependable line, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. That should definitely help, man. Queen House Judge has approved. Yeah. Yelva says Judge and Daniel ain't it. I mean, look at our record. How could you say otherwise right now? To be honest, I don't care if we win. If we want to see a great defense back in New York, it seems like it's ugly on both sides of the ball. On top of losing, it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch. I will say that I think the defense has played much better the last 2 weeks. But overall, yes, it's been a bad product. I don't care about fun to watch, though. To be honest with you, I was not one of those fans that I would rather have a ugly, disgusting, boring team that wins than a fun team. Obviously, if you can have both, it's great. But I was one of those guys, like, when fans were like, oh, excited to see Beckham when the team was winning 4 games. I was not one of those fans. I want to see winning football. Michael, man, thank you very much, man. We called Browns for OBJ, but they said, no, we tried. Oh, you did. You did call the Browns for OBJ. I'm surprised that the Giants, I'm surprised that the Browns did not trade Odell Beckham, if that's true. Because he's forcing his way off the team anyway. They sent him home for practice 2 days in a row. And John, man, thank you very much. He says, Mara will say the exact same thing what Hal Steinbrenner said. Blame the players, and I see everyone coming back, including Dave Gettleman, unfortunately, because his signings are more tradable after next season. Hey, man, I've been wrong before. I would be very surprised if Dave Gettleman's back. But what I will say, John, what would not surprise me is essentially bringing Dave Gettleman back. Because if you promote Kevin Abrams, that's what you're doing. He worked under Dave Gettleman. He's part of Dave Gettleman's, front office. So I really don't see many scenarios where Gettleman's back, because they're going to have to give a pound of flesh. But I could see them hiring from within, which is basically doing the same thing. We need a coach that's exciting. I've never seen Judge be happy. You see, here's my take reality. I think when the team's winning and we're not winning, you don't really care what the coach is. Nobody says a word about Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau's never happy. It's part of one of the things that I like about it. Every time you watch Tom Thibodeau on the sideline, he's like this. That's Tom Thibodeau. Every game. Where they could be up by 50, they could be down by 50. When you're winning, nobody cares. I think it has everything to do with winning. It has nothing to do with the coach looking happy or the personality. And Cher Lewis, man, thank you very much, man. He says, I've been screaming for years to blow up this entire thing up and rebuild from scratch and stop adding Band-Aid free agents. The new GM could have this option on the table and do this thing correct. Well, that's the route that they have to take, man. That's the route that they have to take, if they're going to bring in an outside GM. There's really no other choice. Well, I'm not saying blow it up, Cher. Give the GM the option to do what he wants to do. You may not completely blow it up. And it's the first year, Cher, he's not going to be able to completely blow it up because you have so many of these players that are under contract that you can't move. You can't move Kenny Golladay. You can't move Adoree Jackson. You can't move Leonard Williams. Not to say that I'd move Leonard Williams. I think he's played well. But those guys, the first year, you're not going to be able to completely blow it up. But you could start heading that way, right? That's kind of what we did in 2019. Going into the year, we hadn't completely blown it up yet, but we traded Beckham before the year started. We traded Snacks Harrison from within the season, and he started to shuffle in his players. And then 2020, you really started to see us really have a brand new football team. So I don't think they'd be able to completely blow it up right away, but it's something that they could start doing if that's what the GM's plan would be when he came in and took the job. But if I had to guess, I don't think you'll see a complete blow up at the start of next season. But we'll see. What's going on there, Hot Nickels, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. Yeah, fun is winning is right, man. What's going on, bud? Tired of losing. Mets can't find anyone that wants to work for them. I am miserable. Oh, God. Don't even get me started with the Mets. The Mets' biggest problem right now, and maybe I'm wrong on this, they got to get rid of Sandy Alderson, man. No guy wants to come in and take this job with Sandy Alderson there. That's the biggest problem, in my opinion. That's why they can't get anybody. And I appreciate that, Giancarlo Gonzalez, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. And Dependable Lion, man, thanks for popping in. He says, if I was owner, I'd give the new GM the flexibility to do what he wants over 5 years because contracts and accruing picks and developing players. That's what you have to do. At least 3 years. You have to give him 3 years. That's what I did for Gettleman. Didn't work. But you have to give the guy 3 years to build the team and set the team up the way that he feels that he should. Didn't work with Gettleman. Got to do the same thing for the next GM and hope that it does. But that's the only choice that you have. I think that if it was like, I'm going to give you guys like my dream scenario next year in terms of the draft. Because I look at this team right now, guys. I look at the Giants right now. And I don't think we're a year away. I don't think we're close to a year away. So my dream scenario is, let's say they get a top 5 pick, whether it's the Bears pick or our pick. My dream scenario, say we're picking third. Team calls us up. They're picking seventh. They want to come up. They want to get a quarterback. I trade down. I drop back to seventh. I'm now picking seventh, and we'll say 10th. I get 2 offensive linemen. And I get a future first-round pick. And maybe a future second-round pick. Whatever it may be. I continue to get future draft capital. I trade down. Because what that allows me to do, I still get my 2 linemen, or my edge or my lineman, whatever. And in the following draft, if I am forced to move on from Daniel Jones, now I got the pieces in a stronger quarterback draft class to go up and get the quarterback. That's my dream scenario in this year's upcoming draft. If we're picking top 3, top 4, trade down and get another first round pick in a following draft. And just keep building more and more future draft capital. DM man, thank you very much. He says, started with the 56 NFL champs, New York Giants. In the next 7 years, they lost the title game 5 times. Then I potentially waited 23 years until 1986. That was just F-bomb charming, takes heart. Listen, man, we've been through a lot in recent years. But, yeah, man, those Giants teams, I didn't live through it. But every older Giant fan tells me it was just as bad, if not worse. I can't imagine it being much worse than the way it's been here over the last 8 or 9 years. But I could definitely at least see it, being on par. And the Giants shook things up and they got out of it. That's what we're gonna have to do, man. Jared says draft O-line. If they develop, they should win. Yeah. Well, what's up, Authentic Man? Thanks for popping in, man. Here's the other thing I want to say, man, about drafting offensive linemen, and we need to. But as fans, if we draft offensive linemen, we can't just right away be like, oh, the offensive line's fixed. No, it takes time. I don't care how talented the offensive linemen are. It takes time to play with one another and grow and mature as professional football players to get to a point where this is a consistently really strong offensive line. But you have to start somewhere. And I think next year they really have to hit home with that. And we'll see what they do in the offseason. But if I had to guess, if we do what I think they should do, I think they'll have a really strong offensive line by the start of the 2023 season. I think it'll take a year for them to really gel and play together and grow as players. And then the following year, I think they'll have a really strong offensive line. Because if you get 3 really good offensive linemen on this line, you'll have a good line. And that's what I hope that they do, man. What's up there, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Offensive line playing good this year. No, it's not. No, it's not. The offensive line sucks. What's up, Clocks, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Us as fans have become so accustomed to expecting the bare minimum out of our offensive line that when the offensive line plays mediocre, we're like, they're playing good this year. The offensive line is trash. Look at the by the way, when you get an opportunity, look at the PFF grades for the Dallas Cowboys offensive linemen. Look at the PFF grades for the Cleveland Browns offensive linemen. Look at the PFF grades for you name it offensive line. The New York Giants' highest PFF grade on their line is 55. Their running backs average 3.5 yards per carry. We can't open up running lanes. Daniel Jones is constantly under pressure. You go back, you watch that last drive the previous week, Daniel Jones couldn't drop back he couldn't do a 3-step drop. The offensive line sucks. Authentic. What I will say, when Thomas is on the field, the offensive line is much better, but it's still definitely a concern. We couldn't run block when Thomas was on the field. Let's see what we got. What's up there, Flex? He says, curious, will we ever see Isaiah Wilson and Aaron Robinson on the field? I think we'll see Aaron Robinson. Who knows when, maybe this week, but I definitely think we'll see Aaron Robinson. I don't know if we'll see Wilson anytime soon. Because to me, he's just like a project. He's a guy you stick on the practice squad and hope he gets in shape and grows as a football player. So we'll see with him. But yeah, I definitely think you'll get an opportunity to see Aaron Robinson before the end of the year. What's up, Radical Sim, man? Thanks for popping in. People complain about the 86 offensive line, too. I didn't grow up with the 86 team. The 86 team was built on defense. That was the strength of that team. But what I could tell you is the team that won the Super Bowl in 2007, that offensive line was damn good. Damn good. Let's see what we got here. O-line edge have to be the picks. Trade back is a must. Too many quarterback hungry teams. Only way out of cap hell is the draft. O-line edge have to be the picks. I agree. Again, who knows? Maybe there's a player that knocks your socks off. But if you're just asking me right now, O-line, edge, O-line. In any specific order, my first 3 picks in this year's draft. Who are the ideal but still realistic replacements for Jones and Judge if you want to move on from them? Again, the Judge thing, I will wait till the end of the year if they even move on from Judge. But if they do, I'll wait till the end of the year when they start to bring in coaching candidates so I get like a realistic view in terms of the coaches that they're going to look to bring in. Because I could throw 30 names at you. Quarterback, if they're going stopgap, I've said it several times. I don't know if they're going to do that or if they're going to stick with Jones. But if they're not drafting a quarterback, which I think is a mistake, if they go stopgap, you're not. Get Aaron Rodgers out of your head. Get Russell Wilson out of your head. The definition of a stopgap is a guy that's just going to fill the position, kind of like Bridgewater's doing for the Broncos for a year or two until they find what they hope is their franchise quarterback in the draft. So you're not getting the Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Russell Wilsons of the world. You're getting a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. You're getting a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a guy I've brought up in the past as well, if they elect to go that route. But I personally would stick with Jones for another year. I'm not drafting a quarterback in this year's draft. Dave Gettleman is not getting rid of Judge. Dave Gettleman's got. You're right. Dave Gettleman will not get rid of Joe Judge. Here's the problem. Dave Gettleman's not going to have a job. It's like, it's like he's going to be fired. He's not going to have his job. He's not going to have a say whether or not Joe Judge is back. Dave Gettleman's going to get fired, man. The Clocks, man. Chris, did you think Gruden was on the right path with the Raiders? Is it because he had a 10-year contract? I don't know, man. I wasn't completely sold. I wasn't completely sold on the Raiders yet this year. If you go back and look at the Raiders over the last, 3-4 years, they always start off really good. Like, I'll pull up the Raiders stats right now. Let me take a quick look. And they're off to a really good start, by the way. But is it fool's gold? Like, let me take a quick look here. The Raiders in 2020 started. They were 6-3, and they finished the year 8-8. They started 6-3. They finished 8-8 last year. The year before, they started 6-4. They finished 7-9. So this has been a pattern with the Raiders. That's why I am not fully bought into the Raiders yet. So yeah. So the last couple of years they've started off really well and then they tail off. So we'll see. We'll see if they can keep it up. But yeah, before this year, I wasn't the biggest fan of Gruden. I didn't think he was doing a great job over there, and the 10-year contract was ridiculous. But obviously, the Raiders so far this year have definitely been one of the surprise teams of the NFL. What's up, Entertainer? What will you do if Gettleman if the Giants get 8 wins? I mean, that's something, at the end of the year I'll talk about. I think that's a bare minimum for it to even become a discussion in terms of, whether or not keeping this intact. Unless they get healthy, but still think Gettleman won't get fired. He may quit, but not get fired. Radical Sim, when I say fired, retired. I don't think he's going to get fired. I think he's going to retire. Kind of like Coughlin did, right? Coughlin stepped down, but we all knew that Coughlin was fired. I think it'll be the same thing. I expect Gettleman to retire at year's end. H-Berg Lions, man, thank you very much. Offer Parcells a job at GM. Yeah, but why? I mean, Parcells a coach right now. I'm thinking Belichick. I'm thinking Belichick. How old is Parcells? Parcells is, let me see. He's 80 years old. He's gonna be in his hospital bed. No. He's 80 years old, man. They can't hire Mara. We talk about how Mara's got to stop doing what he's been doing. They got to hire an outsider. No more of this. No more of this, guys that you're familiar with. Hire an outsider. Bring in a guy here with a fresh mind and start over, man. I was thinking Belichick because I've never even heard anybody bring up Parcells, so that's why I'm like, he's still coaching. I was thinking Belichick. Let's see. Tired of being patient every year. Bengals O-line was terrible, and they did not address the O-line in this draft. And boom, they turn it around. Why can't we? Yeah, maybe we could have magic tricks and we could turn it around. The offense, here's what I'll say. Our offensive line's been bad for 12 years. So if you think the Giants shouldn't address it next year, okay. Maybe you're right and I'm wrong. It's been bad for 12 years. So usually, like if I have a problem for 12 years, like if my car constantly stalls out and the engine light's going on for 12 years, I'd probably be like, you know what? Maybe I should invest in an engine. So if the Giants offensive line's been piss poor for 12 years, if you think it doesn't need to be addressed and we can just snap our fingers and it's going to work, and why can't it work? Well, maybe that'll be the case. True Apples, man, thank you very much. He says, what are some of your favorite hobbies? Oh, wow. I'm a huge, by the way, if any of you guys are movie fans, it's off topic, but I just got this, this app. It's freaking awesome. I'm going to the movies tonight. I'm going to see, that new superhero movie. What the hell is it called? Eternals or whatever it is. It didn't get great reviews, but I'm going to see it. But it's the Regal app, and it's like $23 a month, and you see unlimited movies. I go to the movies whenever I want. I could say, if I wanted to, I could see 7 movies a week. But yeah, I'm a huge moviegoer. Eternals, there you go, Eternals. I don't know why it was escaped my mind. Eternals. But yeah, that's definitely, I'm a huge movie fan. That's probably my biggest hobby. And Will Comics, man, thank you very much, man. Hey, Dana, rumor has it that the Philly Beagles' first target is Russell Wilson in the offseason. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, 23 more than Netflix. Yeah, but Netflix, you don't get to see the movies when they first come out. But I get it. Well, no, Netflix ain't free, Easy Lopez. You got to pay. I mean, you probably have somebody else's account, but it's not free. Rumor has it the Philly Beagles' first target is Russell Wilson in the offseason. I mean, the rumor has it that every top name player is the Eagles, big target. I'll believe it when I see it. It may happen. They got 3 first-round picks, but much like I said about Aaron Rodgers, what is the draw for Russell Wilson to the Eagles? Is that a great draw? I mean, they have aging players. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really see the attraction for Russell Wilson to want to go to the Eagles. Wilson is overrated. I hope the Eagles blow their draft load on him. I don't think Wilson's overrated, man. I don't think Russell Wilson's overrated. Russell Wilson, to me, is one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL that can actually succeed with what the Giants have, because he's done it with Seattle. Seattle sucks. Seattle's built that team horrible. Now, they have really good weapons, but their line is horrible. Russell Wilson is an outlier. He's one of the few quarterbacks, in my opinion, that could overcome a really bad situation. I don't think Russell Wilson's overrated. I think Russell Wilson's really good. And Dependable Lion, man, thank you very much. Imagine this trade. Barkley and Ingram for Elijah Vera Tucker and their other young tackle. Yeah, right. You can keep dreaming, man. But no way, man. The Jets invested a lot in their offensive line the last two drafts. So don't expect them to trade Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker. What do you think about Matt Ryan coming to New York? I mean, same thing, man. What is Matt Ryan going to accomplish here, man? How old is Matt Ryan? I mean, the guy is what? He's 36. He's going to be 37. What's the purpose other than being a stopgap? Like, if you're like, all right, bring him here for 1 year, we're not going to draft a quarterback and we want to move on from Jones. We want to trade Jones, maybe, but he's not going to solve anything with this football team. How about we draft a punter? I mean, we got a ton of draft picks. We might. Riley Dixon sucks. You pay the punter next to Riley. With what we're paying Riley Dixon, like we're paying him like $4 million. You could draft a punter in the 7th round. You pay him next to nothing. There's a good way to save a lot of cap. So, yeah, actually, as crazy as it may sound, I know a lot of people don't think about that. I think we probably should draft a punter this year in the 7th round. You pay him nothing and bring him in here. And, and obviously if you draft a punter, they're usually good. So, I think we should. I think we should spend one of our last pick should be spent on a punter. Matt Ryan would be forced into retirement from getting. Yeah, of course, exactly, Grim. Let's draft the kid that had an 80-yard punt. Jones is playing like a franchise quarterback this year. I'm not going to say that, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna use the word franchise. I don't think he's been as bad as some fans are letting on, but I'm not gonna say franchise. Franchise quarterbacks are very hard to come by. H. Bergman, thank you very much. Belichick needs a challenge. Give him a shot at GM. Didn't he start off here under the tuna? He did. I don't know, man. Like the whole Belichick thing, and that's kind of like been a rumor with the Giants. And first off, does he want to leave New England? But even if he did, the whole Belichick thing's been like a rumor for like the last, I don't know, 3-4 years. You know, get him back here to coach or be the GM. We have no evidence that Bill Belichick would be a great GM, right? And like as Knicks fans, we were all excited when the Knicks brought in Phil Jackson. Like, oh my God, Phil Jackson, great head coach. You know, he won all those championships, the basketball knowledge, the triangle offense. Let's get him in here. He's going to fix things real quick. Didn't fix things. So we have no evidence that Bill Belichick would make for a great general manager. And to be fair, if you go back and look at the New England Patriots, granted, they are in a much tougher situation because they're always drafting late more often than not, but than the Giants are. But they have not drafted well in years. The New England Patriots, they have not drafted well. They've made some stupid trades too. They traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. So I don't know, man. I don't know if Bill Belichick would make for a great general manager. I know he's like he's obviously a former Giant. He is the greatest head coach of all time, and he's brilliant. But I mean, the guy's old too, man. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the best idea. Yeah, he's not. They have not drafted well. Like I said, if I'm being as fair as I can, they usually pick like 30th. Not so much the last couple of years, but so that has something to do with it. But they have not drafted well. Giants need Herm Edwards. He plays to win the game. The girl talks sports. Glad to see you here. She's awesome. We already have Garrett here. I don't want another person. I've hated him my whole life on our team. Yeah, the girl talks sports. He was Jason Garrett was the second he took this job, he knew he was going to be the most hated man on the planet. He knew it because he's a cowboy and everything else. So he had a tough job to begin with when he took this job. She's got a great channel, by the way, Authentic. Check her out. I've been on her channel a couple times. She's awesome. Check her out. Let's see. That's because we don't listen to his scouts. He looks pretty good last night. Last draft. Mac Jones, Christian Barmore looks good right now. Mac Jones looks a lot better than I thought he would. I'll be the first to say it, man. He's done a pretty good job with New England. Jeremiah, what's going on, man? Belichick is a GM and he doesn't draft the best. Yeah, technically he's the GM, right? He makes the decisions over there. And I mean, if you pull up New England's latest drafts, like here, I'll pull them up for you right now. This is who New England's drafted in the last, I don't know, 3 years. This year so far, Christian Barmore I thought was a great pick. I don't know why he dropped as far as he did in this year's draft. So I remember while I was watching the draft this year, I actually loved New England's draft. Ronnie Perkins, they got great value. He was a guy I really liked. I don't know how he's playing there, but he was a guy that I really liked. Ramondre Stevenson was a guy a lot of us like. Christian Barmore, though, and Mac Jones looks to be a pretty good pick. Barmore was great. As far as the previous years, though, I mean, not much. I mean, they didn't have a first-round pick in 2020, to be fair, but nobody there is anything for the most part. They drafted N'Keal Harry in the first round in 2019. Nothing. Chase Winovich, I liked him. I thought he was a pretty good pick. They got him in the third round that year. I thought it was a steal when they got him. But none of these picks are that good. Damian Williams, I guess, is a pretty good third-round pick. I don't know, man. They have not drafted particularly well in recent years in New England. And Terrence Phillips, he says, why are the Giants so injured? Yeah, that's been a question I've been getting throughout the entire stream, Terrence, and I don't have the answer for you. I think it's a bunch of little things rolled up into one. I think some of it is player evaluation, bringing in guys here that have an injury history. Maybe some of it's the turf. Maybe some of it's bad luck. Maybe some of it's the medical staff. I don't think it's just one clear-cut answer. I think it's a bunch of things. There's no way with the amount of injuries that the Giants have had. Somebody said in the chat earlier, I think it's fourth most injuries in the last 5 years. I think they have the most injuries this year. So I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a bunch of things. N'Keal Harry sucks. He's horrible. Why are the Giants playmakers? Yeah, the answer, I don't know. But it is 5 o'clock, guys. I got to eat before I go out. But I just wanted to come on for a couple of hours. Haven't done a ton of Giants videos. I'm trying to do at least 1, maybe 2 live streams a week with you guys. I will be live. I'm not sure what day. Probably Saturday for the Giants show with Bad Dog on this channel. And maybe I'll be live again throughout the week to talk some Giants with you guys. Always love coming on here, though. I thought that there was a lot of small things that I wanted to talk about with you guys. I figured I'd just go live, talk to you guys for a couple hours. Always have a lot of fun with you guys, man. And I appreciate all the support that you guys always show, for sure. And let's block this guy. That's what I'm doing from now. Whenever I get jackasses that come in here, quitter. See ya. Goodbye. Eric, man, thank you very much. I'm a New York Giant. You're now blocked from the channel. Goodbye. Eric Torres says, I'm a New York Giants fan, and no way has DJ played like a franchise quarterback. I don't know what they are looking at. Always have excuses. Time to move on. No way you can pay him. Yeah, I agree, man. And Survivor, man, be good, man. Thanks for being here, man. What's going on there, Cuda, man? Thanks for popping in. What's up there, Stephen Torres, man? Thanks for being here. Seamus, thanks for being here. I agree with you right now. There's no way you could pay him. And I like Daniel Jones, and I want Daniel Jones to succeed. And I do think Daniel Jones, if he goes on a good team, is going to do a good job. But there's no way the Giants can pay him right now. There's no way. That's what a franchise quarterback is. I said it on an authentic stream. Everybody's definition of a franchise quarterback, I guess, is different. But for me, the clear-cut answer of what a franchise quarterback is, when you look at what quarterbacks get paid in the second salary, they take up 15 to 20% of the team's cap. That's a franchise quarterback. A quarterback that you could pay 15 to 20% of your cap, and he could still win Super Bowls. Can I honestly say that about Daniel Jones right now? No. I'd be lying to you guys if I said that. So right now, as of now, he is not a franchise quarterback. Could he grow into one? It's possible. Will he grow into one with the Giants? Probably not, because we don't have the pieces here for him to be successful. So yeah, that's my take on Jones. But guys, be good. I appreciate all the support that you guys always show on the channel. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, we'll talk Giants soon. Be good, everybody.